It's a new year, new magic. As 2026 begins, the resolutions the Magic must keep today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is January 2nd, 2026. My name is Philip Rossman. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com, credentialed member of the Orlando Magic media since the 2012 season. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, it's a new year, new magic, or maybe the same old magic. We're in for a big 2026 calendar year. What the Magic have to accomplish the rest of this season and the resolutions they need to keep off it. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. First, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. No matter when you listen to us, whether it's first in the morning, whether it's right when we upload, whether it's really, really late like this episode's going up, we truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. You can make Locked On Magic even bigger part of your day by being one of our Orlando Magic dailies. That means you're an everydayer listening 5 days a week, listening when we go up early, when we go up late, listening on the weekends like you will after tonight's game against the Chicago Bulls, listening as part of your daily podcast rotation or as your first listen of the day. We truly appreciate you for making the Locked On Magic family the best podcast family there is. And thank you for helping make the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network. It's your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by FanDuel. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday. That's tonight from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. The Orlando Magic made 2025 a sort of statement of intent. They started the year hurt, obviously. They're trying to get themselves right. They had that strong push to end the season. They won in the play-in tournament. They played the Boston Celtics in a 5-game series. Paolo Banchero starred. Franz Wagner starred. They gave the Celtics a lot, and even though the Magic ultimately were overwhelmed and lost that series in 5, they gained a lot of respect, at least among the people who watched them play. Their defense really made Boston work, and Boston had to show up and win that series. It's just unfortunately the Magic just did not have enough in the cupboard to keep up with the team as seasoned and as deep, at least offensively, as the Boston Celtics. And so Orlando had to look at that and say, who are we? What are we about? And what do we need to get where we want to go? In steps the Desmond Bane trade. In steps the trade that has changed the expectations on this team. And even though Orlando isn't playing like fantastic basketball right now, has the Magic on track to accomplish all their goals, especially as they get healthy. Orlando right now actually has the same record at this point in the season that they did in 2024. In the 2025 season, they were a little bit more ahead. They played a lot better at the beginning of the season, but this team is very much like the 2024 team, still figuring themselves out and poised to make a big push here in 2026. The Orlando Magic should know this. If you've watched this team, if you listen to me, hopefully, there are concerns. This isn't a perfect team. I don't think I'm going to be yelled at for saying, this isn't a championship team yet. There's still work to do. And so the rest of this season, heading into the start of the 2026-2027 season, if last year was a statement of intent, if 2025 was a statement of intent, hey, we're going to be a championship team, just you wait. 2026, the resolution, the big overarching theme of these next 12 months is becoming a championship team. Now, you might be saying, Philip, that's crazy. We shouldn't even be talking about championship until we win a playoff series. We shouldn't be talking about championship until Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner are fully realized, are healthy, are kind of back to being who they are. We shouldn't even think about championship until X, Y, and Z happen. This is the year that X, Y, and Z happen. This is the year where we need to see those steps take place. I've told a lot of people this when they ask me, what do you want to see from the Magic? And I think I said this at the beginning of the season. I am less interested in where the Magic finish in the standings, finish in the playoffs. I don't have a specific goal for that aside from win a playoff series. Like, yes, I still expect the Magic to be the 3 or the 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. I think all the BPI projections, all those like advanced analytics projections still have them as the 3 seed over Boston, although they're starting to believe in Boston a little bit more. I still have the Magic winning a playoff series. I think that they're going to win whatever playoff series they're in. Again, Philadelphia doesn't scare me. Milwaukee certainly doesn't scare me. Miami doesn't scare me that much. Even Cleveland would be, if the Magic played Cleveland in the first round, I might be a little leery. But I still believe this Magic team's going to accomplish that goal. But that goal alone isn't enough. My goal for the 2026 playoffs is get to a second round series and show, even if you lose, that you are on the path to a championship, that you have what it takes with maybe a little bit of seasoning. Like I've been telling people, I'm okay losing in the second round this year if the only reason they lose is experience. You go up against a New York Knicks team that just knows what to do. That's what happened in the NBA Cup. The NBA Cup semifinal against New York was a great example of a kind of lesson the Magic needed. I am glad. I would have loved for them to win, don't get me wrong. I am glad they got that lesson. Losing to Toronto in that game, no offense to the Raptors. Good team, beat the Magic on Monday. Losing to Toronto in that game would have been disappointing. Frankly, losing to San Antonio in the NBA Cup final would have been disappointing. Not like terrible, not like, oh, let's throw it all away, but I want to see this Magic team on the court look like they're heading toward a championship. And there are signs that they are. The Magic have fallen back to 17th in offensive rating. But they've still improved in that area. And I think we all expect as they get healthier, they'll start to climb those rankings back up again. Getting into the teens, into the upper teens, maybe back to 11th where they were before they hit this little rut that they're in. They're sitting in 9th in defensive rating. And I think we all agree the defense isn't at the level that we are accustomed to seeing from this Magic team. So if 9th is bad, they're still in pretty good shape. I think we all expected at the start of the season this would be a top five defense and an offense hovering around the middle of the pack. So again, having said all this, the Magic being where they are, like, yes, it's a little disappointing, but the Magic are still in a good position to keep climbing and to keep growing. The Magic have a lot that they need to see. And a lot of it is just on-court improvement. Seeing the offense get better, making some actual shots. The Magic, I think, are 29th in the league in three-point field goal percentage at this point. Making some actual shots, getting healthy, like staying at once Franz and Mo are back. No more major injuries, guys. Just let's actually get a look at this team. The Magic have seen their starting 5 play for only 117 minutes and 11 games. They're playing game 33 tonight against the Chicago Bulls. 11, they've only seen their preferred starting 5 for 1/3 of their games. It's hard. But that starting 5 is the 3rd best lineup in the league that's played at least 100 minutes together. That's still the case, a plus 18 net rating. The Magic have something that can work in the playoffs. So this year is about becoming champions. And so every resolution, everything we want to see from the Orlando Magic over the next 12 months is about pointing the team toward title contention. 2026 may not be the year the Magic lift the Larry O'Brien trophy. 2027 absolutely should. And while there's a lot of on-court improvements, which we talked a little bit about, there's a lot more that has to happen throughout the organization to get the Magic there. The championship mindset the Magic need this year to set up their future. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by my friends over at FanDuel. Fridays always feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern have become appointment viewing because of NBA Happy Hour with bonuses, boosts, and surprises. The timing is perfect right before games, right before the weekend starts to add a little extra energy to Friday night basketball. Now that pesky football is out of the way, it's basketball season officially. So, before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. That's, again, tonight, 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. We want to thank you for making Locked On Magic your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. The great way to start the year is to go check out the new Everydayer Club. It's access to an ad-free audio feed for Locked On Magic, compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, every other major podcast app. You also get an invite to the members-only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, which includes a group chat just for our listeners. So you can just hang out. I'm in there. We're still growing the community, so spare with us as we continue to grow subscribers here. But I provide 3 thoughts that are not going on my public feeds after every quarter. And look, I'm just usually during games, I'm just sitting watching. I have my second screen up too. Come into the chat, ask me questions, ask me what I'm seeing, and I'll tell you exactly what I'm seeing. It's a great way to interact with me and to support the show. So go to LockedOnMagic.supercast.com. That's LockedOnMagic.supercast.com, or tap the link in the show notes to learn more. The theme of 2026 is clearly everything pointing toward a championship. And again, I hope that's not crazy to say. I hope that's exciting. It's like, of course, that's what everything is about. But it's one thing to say, there's one thing when the Magic are sitting at around 500, and I'm jokingly telling my guests, well, I'll see you in the conference finals. That's one of my gimmicks, is I say, we'll see you in the conference finals. We'll see you in the NBA finals to my Western Conference co-hosts. It's another thing for it to actually feel real, and for it to not be a joke. It's not a joke anymore. The Magic, whether they're ready or not, they're going to be a first apron team next year. They're very possibly a second apron team next year. They're going to be paying the luxury tax for the first time since 2012, whether they get under the tax this year and avoid the repeater clock, or they're going to be in it next year. This Magic team is in. This Magic team is virtually all in on this group figuring it out. And so what this year is about is giving this group, this team, the best chance they have to accomplish those goals. Because not necessarily is it a failure if they don't, but getting back to that level is very difficult without taking some huge steps back, which would then raise a lot of questions throughout the whole franchise. Whether you like it or not, and maybe you do, maybe you don't, the Magic are fully invested in Paolo Banchero. The Magic are fully invested in this Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner group. Now, there are, of course, little things you could do around the margins, but Paolo and Franz aren't changing. And so the biggest resolution that I think the Magic have to have is they've got to develop a championship mindset. And I want to start off the court before we get to on the court. Because I think the biggest shift that has to happen is with how management and coaching approaches things. Jamal Mosley has been under a lot of heat this year. And I think even he would say that's expected. He's a pressure is a privilege guy. He's even admitted the level of development that this team is at, where they're at in their development, has forced him to change a little bit. Some of the tactics, some of the motivation tactics, some of the things that he did during the rebuild era no longer work because every game is important. Now, I am a Mosley supporter. I think a lot of fan criticism toward Jamal Mosley, there is fair ones. I think it's a little overreactionary. I think it's a little overboard. Yes, Jamal Mosley has some flaws. We could talk about his penchant for not having a good feel of when to call timeout and when to let the team go attack in last-second situations. That's been a constant theme. We could talk a little bit about his rotations and how, he doesn't always make sure he has key players on the floor at the same time or doesn't time things right, so you end up with some bad matchups at bad times. We could talk about some of the lineup combinations he's still trying, and they're still experimenting to go. I would say, again, we're 32 games into the season. There's 50 more of these things. And ultimately, what I always say to people is Jamal Mosley is very, very good at keeping the big picture in mind. He's very, very good at having his team playing their best in March and April leading into the playoffs. And so I would say, yes, give him time. I said this at the beginning of the season when everything was falling apart, and I said, get to Thanksgiving and then we'll talk. And we got to Thanksgiving and the Magic were back. The Magic were playing really, really well. Jamal, to everyone who was just upset with Jamal Mosley over every little thing over the course of the season, he's getting the rest of the season. And ultimately, he will be judged by how the team performs in the playoffs. If they're the 4th seed and lose in the first round, there's going to be a lot of questions, as there should be. If they get to the second round and lose to the Knicks and get swept, there will be questions, as there should be. But that's the moment we're going to judge him because the Magic are still in a good spot. They're not, they're not maybe where we want them to be, but they're still in a good spot. And I do think Jamal Mosley deserves a lot of credit for the culture that he has built. And yeah, there have been cracks in the culture this year, and we will have to consider that at the end of the season as well. He's done a really good job with the culture that he's built here and finding ways to maximize what he has. And look, this is still a very flawed roster. But like I mentioned, this can't be a wait and see thing anymore. We are at the moment where the Magic have to make a push forward, have to push some chips in. And so it's not just Jamal Mosley that I want to see have this championship mindset. It's Jeff Weltman too. The trade deadline is 5 weeks away, I believe. 4 or 5 weeks away now. The Magic are a little limited. And I think at this point, the Magic don't quite know what they have because they haven't been healthy. And so hopefully, I think Mo Wagner is going to come back here. I don't think Sunday's the day. Let me make that clear. I don't think Sunday's the day. I wouldn't be shocked if he is back next weekend for the Philadelphia New Orleans games. I wouldn't be shocked if Franz is back for those games or coming back for the Berlin game. But within the next 2 weeks, maybe the next 3 weeks might be more accurate, I think we will see the Magic fully healthy again. And I think we will finally get to see this team kind of make a little push before the All-Star break, and then after the All-Star break, make their big push. Because again, Jamal Mosley, I'm a big believer in Jamal Mosley. His teams have finished better than their overall record. So they went 500 last year. I think they were 12-6 after the All-Star break. Every single one of his teams has had a better record, had a better winning percentage after the All-Star break than their entire season. So he does get this team peaking and playing their best at the end of the season. Jeff Weltman, too, has to have this kind of growth championship mindset. So I want to dive a little bit deeper into the challenges Jeff Weltman faces to get this team to the next level. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. Jeff Weltman is a guy who works quietly. You're not going to see a lot of rumors involving the Orlando Magic. I have made pitches for some players that are very familiar. And even as I'm making those pitches, it's because I know they're available. I know what they could do. I know the value that they would have for this team. But at the same time, it's like, well, if the Magic wanted these guys, they've had ample opportunity to get them. I'm not sure they actually want these guys. They ended up with Tyus Jones anyway, and we've kind of seen how that goes. So maybe the Magic were right in the end and then got it wrong in the end. Jeff Weltman has always preached patience. And do not get me wrong, internal improvement is a big part of the Magic project. Internal improvement is a big piece of the puzzle for this team. Whatever Paolo Banchero ends up doing this season, he has to be better next season. He has not played at the level of a max star. Now he's getting back to there. We're seeing it a little bit, but the jumper's still not there. He's shooting 26, 27% on jump shots this year. It's feeling a little bit like a lost season for Paolo. And again, he's 23. We know what he's capable of. The Magic know what he's capable of. They're not losing faith in him. They're not going to trade him anytime soon. They're going to trust that he's going to do his work and fix whatever problem he had in the offseason. Just like Franz has seemingly fixed his three-point shooting. He's at 36% three-point shooting for the season. The Magic still need to count on internal improvement, but we are at a point where Jeff Weltman can't sit on his hands. I'm not into caring what everyone else around the league is doing. I just don't. You got to run your own race. You got to worry about yourself. You can't try and keep up with the Joneses. That's when you get in trouble. That's when you make mistakes. You do have to be strategic. You do have to be careful. You do have to be thoughtful and intentional with the moves that you make to improve your roster. You have to weigh those pros and cons and decide what's best. And look, again, I've said this a million times. Maybe you hate me for saying this. The Magic's primary goal at this trade deadline is to get under the tax. I don't think the Magic are selling. I think they need to be buying, but they need to cut salary. And that's a really difficult position to be in. So do not be shocked if the only thing you see at the trade deadline is Tyus Jones for a second-round pick or Jet Howard for a second-round pick. Jet Howard alone does not get them under the tax, and so I don't think that's going to do it. Do not be surprised if the Magic aren't super active at the deadline. But to me, that is the exact problem. Because this team clearly does need improvement. This team clearly does need to stay aggressive and hunt for opportunities to get better. This team isn't in a position to throw away a season. They need to make the most of every year that they have and not like forget the consequences. They do need to be mindful of that. Especially like this year. Like this year, don't throw the kitchen out with the bath. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Don't do anything super crazy. Like they need to move on the margin somewhere. I don't think that's crazy to say. And they need to be aggressive hunting for that move. They need to be shot. They need to be snooping around, targeting specific players. Like even if you're targeting specific players, get after it. But this is what I mean. It's being proactive rather than reactive. That's what championship franchises do. They're intentional still. They're not reckless, but they're proactive and looking for ways to improve. And that's what the Magic did last summer going after Desmond Bane. None of us had Desmond Bane on the bingo card. We were talking about a lot of the names that we are talking about at this deadline that feel very available and haven't had great seasons. And so, to some degree, in all the quiet and all the you don't know what's going on with the Magic, I don't know what's going on with the Magic. In all of that, trust that Jeff Weltman has and Anthony Parker and their staff have a good idea of what this Magic team needs and are chasing it in quiet and are chasing it and are going to grab someone that you least expect. Remember, the Nikola Vucevic trade, while there was some thought that they might trade him, came out of nowhere. Turned out to be one of the best deals in Magic history. All love to Vooch. The Magic, even then, even in this aspect, like I mentioned, I'm a Jamal Mosley supporter. And I don't think Jeff Weltman would fire a coach lightly. But if we exit the playoff series with the Knicks, with the Pistons, with the Cavs, with whoever, with the Celtics even, if the Magic exit their playoff series and they're like, this offense isn't cutting it, we made some huge tactical errors, or we just need to get to another level, it's just time for new voice, do not hesitate. I love Jamal Mosley. He is always going to be appreciated here in Orlando. But if the conclusion is a new voice would help this team get to a new level, like Kenny Atkinson did with the Cavs last year, with Mike Brown appears to be doing with the Knicks this year, like plenty, like Larry Brown did with the Pistons and the aughts. There's some really good coaches out there. Like if Mike Malone is agitating, like, I will coach this team and you will have a great offense. It's hard to think like that is the right call. But again, we got to see how things play out in the playoffs. If it's clear coaching is why you're losing, or coaching is the thing that's, or tactics are the thing that's keeping you from being an elite playoff team, then you think about it. And again, like, I thought Jamal Mosley coached a really, really strong playoff series last year in 2025. Even his first playoff series, outside of starting Jonathan Isaac at center for those first 2 games in Cleveland, and again, that may have cost the Magic the series in a 7-game series, I thought Jamal Mosley has coached a fantastic 2024 playoffs. So again, I'm a big believer in, like, all of these guys, everyone here has earned the right to fail. They've earned the right to fail. Let them fail first before we make these large sweeping judgments. And that's the final resolution that I want to chat about today. That is the final thing that I want to chat about today. And this is a little bit of life advice, and this is a little bit of something that maybe you could take as a resolution yourself. I want to remind everybody that in this league, results matter. I'm not saying don't win and that winning is not important. But I think one of the more damaging things that's happened in NBA discourse is everyone forgets that the journey is as vital as the results. You don't have the results without the journey. And so it is important to take a step back and appreciate the journey and appreciate the ups and downs, to understand that this is all part of a process, and you don't really get to evaluate things fully until you get to the end of the season, until you get to the end of the road and you get a chance to take a step back and breathe. It is exceptionally rare that a team wins a championship without failure. How many times did the Boston Celtics go to the conference finals and lose and have everybody question whether Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum could play together? How many times? Until they finally broke through and won a championship. And Boston resisted all those calls to break them apart, to shift and change things. And they changed that roster around them a lot, but they believed in their 2 main guys. How many times did the Milwaukee Bucks fail before they broke through for their championship? How many times did the Denver Nuggets fail with Nikola Jokic before they broke through and won a championship? How many times, Oklahoma City even had to lose in the second round to Dallas, had to get humbled as the home seed in that series before they had their breakthrough last year and won a championship. Winning a championship is a journey, and we are still at the beginning of it. Not like at the very start. We're a little bit along the path. We've seen the Magic take some lumps and learn some lessons, and there's still lessons to learn. And so, yes, the results matter. But I would say, and this is, I think, something for life too, just not basketball, do not be obsessed with the results. Like, the results matter. Again, I'm not sitting here saying, oh, lose 5 in a row just to have the experience to lose 5 in a row. Absolutely not. Expect a lot from yourself, expect a lot from your team, but don't be obsessed with the destination. Appreciate the journey. And that's harder to do in life, and that's harder to realize that in life. But this is what sports are supposed to do. Sports are supposed to teach you a little bit about life. And I hope that you can glean some lessons from competition, low stakes competition relatively, that you could take into your everyday life. I'm obsessed with games because each game is a chapter in a story. And that's literally how I view this. Each game is a chapter in the story. You learn a little something about yourself. You learn a little something about the team, and you move on to the next. You move on to the next chapter. You move on to the next game. John Denton, who used to write for OrlandoMagic.com, veteran writer, covered the Magic for God knows how long, knows where every skeleton is buried in that building. When I first started writing, he would always say, when you're covering an NBA team, every day is Tuesday. It's because the weekend is still far off. The end of the journey is still far off, and you feel like you've always just started. And that's how I took it. Maybe that's not exactly what it means, but that's how I took it. And I take it, and I still make that joke to people, to new writers especially. I pass that joke down. But I take it to remind myself that there's always another day ahead. Like we are still at the beginning of this thing. We are still just starting. And you can't obsess over every game. Like, yeah, I was upset after the loss of the Hornets. I was upset after Monday's loss to the Raptors. And I came on here, said my piece, and then I was like, well, this loss doesn't matter if you go out against Indiana and beat them. And look, there were issues in the Indiana game, and I'm not saying that the Magic were perfect and did exactly what they needed to do to beat the Pacers. But Monday's loss feels less significant, less important, because the Magic took care of their business. And if the Magic get another win tonight against Chicago, again, it'll feel less important. It'll feel, that loss's significance diminishes, just as Paolo Banchero's game winner against the Pacers means a whole lot less if you don't beat the Bulls. I say this a bunch. The NBA regular season is about what you can do on your worst nights. What can you rely on your worst nights? It is about consistency and being able to roll with the punches. And so this is about the journey. And I want, look, this is a really good team. And the Magic, I wouldn't do a podcast like this. I wouldn't set these standards and these expectations. And as Jamal Mosley said on Media Day, whatever expectations that the fans and the national media and everyone outside of the building have, internally the expectations are even greater. Like they believe they can win a championship this year. I'm skeptical of that. I'm not gonna lie, but this is looking like it's going to be the third great era of Magic basketball. Like winning a playoff series, that's something only two teams. So that's only been done 4 times in Magic history. This looks like a team, a core, a group that's going to do that. And so I'm not afraid to speak openly. Hey, this team can win a championship. This team is on a championship trajectory. But we can't be so obsessed with that end destination. We can't be so obsessed to say, oh, why aren't we there yet? Without appreciating everything it takes to get there. And there's going to be heartache. There's going to be struggle. There's going to be adversity. And you got to live and love that too. Because you don't become a championship team without it. You don't get to that level without it. And I hope that's a reminder to everybody that yes, have goals, absolutely have goals. Work to achieve them, but no, it's not a straight line there. And so appreciate the journey this 2026. Appreciate the journey. Appreciate every bit of the journey. Try and grow and learn from the journey because that is what makes the results worth it. And we are on this journey with the Orlando Magic together. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Apologies for getting this out a little bit later on Friday. Late night, New Year's Day was a lot of football, so I was a little tuckered out. A couple late nights, so it's up now. You get it. We want to thank you for making Locked On Magic. We want to thank you for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find us on Twitter you can find me on Twitter, at @PhilipRR_OMD and on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Emily, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all the Foot My Seat download podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. For the latest on the online, you can also check us out on YouTube to search for Locked On Magic. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us there on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As always, your support helps so much in helping me travel to Magic Road games, preparing for the playoffs. Truly appreciate all of you who have supported me in whatever fashion. Thank you all for being the best group of fans in the NBA. On to a great 2026. We want to thank you for making Locked On Magic your first listen of the day. If you never miss an episode, the Everyday Club is built for you. Go get Locked On Magic ad-free plus the members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonmagic.supercast.com. That's lockedonmagic.supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 national NBA YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen NBA game night on Locked On NBA. That's good for me today, though. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. We'll be back tonight, early Saturday, to break down the Magic's game against the Chicago Bulls. But until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.